And Mavis asked that I just say a few words and kind of get this party started, as if it wasn't already started. She wanted me to emphasize and make it very clear that my dad is more than just a man in a cowboy hat. And although he loves country music, I will let you know that that particular genetic trait has skipped a generation. So, and it is now on my child, the poor soul. My dad was born on July 8th, so a couple of days from now, just a couple of years ago, 90 in fact. It's a party. He grew up, was born and raised in Missouri, and served, there may be a couple of things that you don't know about my dad. He actually played semi-professional softball. He was a first baseman. He served in the military, in the Navy, was quartermaster, right? On the USS Daniel T. Griffin. Actually, weirdly enough, and you'll have zero interest in this, but he was actually on the same ship at the same time as my father-in-law. That's very weird.
Did they know each other?
They did not know each other. They found out many years later. Anyway, he also taught school in a one-room schoolhouse. Nobody else was impressed but me with that? Thank you. That was better. That was better. Thank you. He worked in the oil fields and moved to California. I was born while he was still in Missouri, and I grew up in California, and that's where I lived most of my life, and he lived a lot of his. Let's see. There's a couple of other items that may have to remind me that she wanted to make clear. You'll notice a lot of helium balloons around. A couple of them have popped, and it's been proposed, perhaps, that with each popping of that balloon, it's taking a year off of his life.
Oh, all right.
So you may want them to get the needles out. Each balloon, there are 90 of them if you didn't have time to count them, and obviously each one represents a year of his life, and I thought perhaps in commemoration or celebration of those 90 years and 90 balloons, that I would perhaps talk a little bit about maybe 90 reasons why I love my dad. Now, I will not take more than 3 to 5 minutes per item. So, okay, we'll skip that. But we are going to, okay, what else I'm supposed to say?
Well, his conversion to gospel.
Oh, I didn't know that was part of it. Okay.
Well, just whatever.
Okay. Many of you are members of the church here, and Mavis asked that I just tell a little bit about that story, and maybe it is accurate, but it's my perception of the story. My brother, Dad's son, Gary, we forgot to introduce everybody. We'll do that in a second. Joined the church many years ago, and then I joined the church because of the girl next door. She told me about the church, and so I joined the church, and I was 19 years old. And at the time in Bakersfield, California, there were a lot of young adults whose parents or whose family were not members of the church, and so we would gather together for family home evening each week. There was probably a bunch of, probably what, 20 at times, 20 or 24 at times. We would gather together at different homes, and very often my mom and dad would open our home so that we could have that opportunity to have a family home evening, and they would very slyly be close to see what was happening with that. And I attribute in very large part my dad and mom's conversion to the gospel to those young adults who exhibited such great character and such great examples. And so obviously I have a tender place in my heart for all of those young adults that played a role in my parents' conversion. So I served a mission for the church in Belgium, and while I was there I would write letters to them and trying to perhaps give a little bit of a message in the process. And while I was on my mission, they thought maybe it was important to maybe learn a little bit more about what I was doing and what I was teaching. So the missionaries were invited to their home, and they taught them the gospel. Now, Belgium is a very difficult country to try to spread the gospel, and I was in the water one time baptizing my entire mission. But when I came home 1 week later, I was able to baptize both of my parents. So I was in the water more times 1 week after my mission than I was my entire mission. Needless to say, that was two very special opportunities. So they eventually were married in the temple, sealed in the temple in Los Angeles. My mother passed away in 1981. And my dad at the time was working in Nevada and had to go to the dentist on occasion. And some very sly people, I think, arranged a date for one of the women that worked in that dental office. And of course that was Mavis, and they were eventually married. Just for a second, would like to introduce, Mavis asked that I introduce some members of the direct family, so maybe at least those two tables, if you're part of the direct family, could you just stand up and tell us who you are?
All right, I'm Ethan Steffens. I'm Gary's son, Euhlan's grandson.
Rachel Steffens, younger sister.
Esther, younger sister.
Part of Gary's clan.
Yes. I'm Tally Layton.
Wait, 1 second before we move on to the next family. We're missing Mary.
Mary just drove up. She'll be here in just like 30 seconds.
Okay, good. And also Ben.
Ben.
Esther's husband.
Yes.
Okay. Now moving on to my family.
I'm Tally. I'm his daughter, and this is my husband.
And Sophie's hiding.
I'm right here. I'm Sophie. Joe's daughter.
And I have two other children. Our son Cooper, our oldest, lives in Bogota, Colombia, and our youngest is Eli, and he's in Nicaragua right now. And then the next family, where's Mary?
Right here.
Oh, there.
I'm Mary Stevens.
Okay, where's
And
your
I'm the
hubby?
older sister, the boss.
Yep, that's right.
And
here's Dick right here.
Dick. And we have two daughters that couldn't make it. They're home, each of them with 3 children that are 5 and under, so.
Great. And Mary is still not here? Okay. Anyway,
I
she'll
thought I
be
saw
here in
her
a
car.
minute. Okay. What?
I thought I saw the white car.
Mavis is reminding me that she thinks it's an important, and I do too, to note that when my dad married my mother was a widow. Her husband was killed in the war and had 2 children at the time, Gary and Mary. So although these are stepchildren, I don't know that they have ever considered themselves step in any way.
I'm looking at them now.
And then my mother and my dad had 2 children, myself and my older sister Anita, who was killed in a car accident when she was 18.
I recognize you right off. I should have immediately.
By
There it is. I'm out of my own.
We do have a plan.
I know about it.
We would like everybody to sing happy birthday to my dad, if that's okay. And I certainly am not going to be leading that, because it is better that I not sing.
He's wrong about that.
But what Mavis would like us to do is to cut these balloons off, and will there be a specific point at which time they release the balloons, or?
After they sing happy birthday. It's like a candle.
Okay.
It's like a candle. So,
He doesn't have the breath to blow out the candle, so we're going to release the balloons. So we're going to have people cutting the balloons, and we'll have you carry them over to the clear area on the grass over here. Sing happy birthday to him, and when you're finished singing happy birthday, let her rip. And then after that, my dad's favorite dessert is, depending on where you're from. If you're from the west, it's pecan pie. If you're from the south and east, it's what, Dick? Pecan pie. And then there's very graciously acquired by Barbie, right? And also there's some excellent cheesecake as well. So, any questions? Good.
get you a balloon and we'll go
Get a
up
balloon
there.
and we'll move over to the clear area.